Colossal Tussle Podcast, Episode 2, Electric Boogaloo, What the World is Listening to. Welcome, everybody. I thought you'd enjoy that one.
Wow, that was painful.
You love it. You love it, and you know it. Yes, we're here, Episode 2, Bubba.
We did it.
We did it. Yeah. What the world is listening to. Easily the best podcast in the universe. I will go out on a limb.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I'll go out on a limb. Update on Le Sex Gods 2. Still waiting, unfortunately.
I don't think you're going to hear back.
I mean, I have high hopes.
Let's see.
Put it out into the universe, and, things can happen.
All right.
So, by the title of this, you will know exactly what we're going to be reviewing today. And this is thanks to the victory from Just John. Yes. I totally forgot to introduce ourselves. KJ Johnson here alongside...
the wonderful, the magnificent, the all-powerful Just John.
Just John.
Just John.
There you go.
That's it.
Yes. So you won the Elimination Chamber predictions.
Yep.
Yeah, by a good country mile. None of my bold predictions came to pass, evidently. So
what did you think of the show before we even get started with the reviews and all that?
I mean, overall, what I thought about the show was that it was kind of meh. You know?
Okay.
I mean, it's always just tricky dealings with Saudi and my feelings towards that. But I can put that aside for the actual wrestling matches. But the wrestling matches themselves were just pretty short, I found. Especially the Elimination Chamber matches, which I've heard both of them are the shortest ever. They clocked in at, I think either just over or just under 15 minutes. I can't remember.
And really, it's just for me at least, it's just the predictability. I want to have a little bit more, even when we were doing the reviews, there wasn't any match that kind of was like a head scratcher. It could go either way. Most of the matches on this pay-per-view were kind of predictable, and they followed what everyone thought was going to happen.
Except me. Evidently.
Well, you haven't been watching WWE program for that long. So.
Yeah, it's been a long old time, and it showed.
For someone just coming back into WWE, I can see why it might be.
I overestimated the WWE's ability to surprise.
No. They are very set in one direction, and when they focus on that, that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah. They've now ruined a Royal Rumble and an Elimination Chamber, all for the sake of one major storyline, and that is Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns.
They wanted to do the title versus title, and they're like, by God,
we're doing it.
We're gonna get this.
All right. Well, I mean, let us run down the card.
Okay, just real quick. So the whole pay-per-view starts with Rey Mysterio versus The Miz on the kickoff show. There was nothing there. Dom came in, assisted. Father-son, 619.
Yep.
But after the match, The Miz did an interview saying that he had a surprise guest. Everyone thought that it was probably going to be Cody. It ended up being... which one of the Paul brothers was it? Logan, not even the good Paul brother.
Yeah.
So...
if there is such a thing.
WWE's still teasing us with that. Then it starts with Goldberg versus Roman. Goldberg is only there for...
I didn't understand.
Listen, they got to get him out of there
Good
ASAP.
Lord.
Him and Roman, Roman already let us know how he feels about the whole Saudi thing. So his matches are... first, so he can get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, obviously.
He puts Goldberg in a guillotine. 1, 2, 3. That's it.
Yeah.
Women's Elimination Chamber match was next. It was decent. Bianca wins that.
So by this point, in prediction standards, you are up 3-1.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Then, which this one was surprising. Ronda, Naomi versus Flair and The Veil. I thought they were gonna leave this for a little bit later, but again, you know, they're in Saudi. They probably just wanna get that whole thing over with. Ronda was supposed to fight with one arm tied behind her back. I didn't know that was a thing till she made her walk to the ring, and they mentioned it on commentary. But Sonya, remember, she had the broken arm from the armbar. She was apparently faking it the whole time. You know, who would have saw that one coming?
Crazy.
Right? But Ronda somehow still managed to beat them with one arm tied behind her back. So, you know.
Incredible.
Doesn't that make you excited for WrestleMania?
Totally.
Drew versus Madcap was after.
Madcap, good lord.
This match was long as fuck.
But did you see the spike? He took it all on his skull.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Thank God.
But this match was long as... Oh my God. I was like, isn't this supposed to be like a squash match or something? Why are they giving these guys like almost 20 fucking minutes to work?
Gotta fill time, I guess.
But God,
I don't know.
Damn, do something else.
Yeah.
Then it was Lita versus Becky, which I love this match. Very, very fun match. I was not expecting that from Lita.
Yeah.
Every time we see her, she could barely walk, but all of a sudden she can put on.
She put on quite a decent match with the old Baxter.
Yeah, no. So that was, you know, it was a filler feud, but it was fun. It was fun, but neither way. Then it was supposed to be Usos versus the Viking Raiders. Usos attacked them before the bell. The match never happened, so it's like, why?
A nonsense no contest.
Why the fuck why does anything matter anymore?
Either somebody ran long or somebody ran short. One or the other.
And then men's elimination was the main event. Bobby got injured after Rollins threw Austin Theory through the pod.
Yeah.
That Seth Rollins buckle bomb is
it's a dangerous. It's dangerous.
Taking out people left and fucking right.
But apparently Bobby Lashley was injured since the Royal Rumble.
So, okay, that's good. That's good.
So,
well, not good, but
no,
as long as
at least it wasn't Seth Rollins killing another person.
Exactly, because that would have been very bad for his whole thing.
More image.
But yeah, with Bobby gone, you know, there was only one person who could win this match, and Brock Lesnar came in, F5s, 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 super F5.
Yeah.
And we're getting Brock and Roman. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy that they gave Austin Theory that final
he at least
spot type of thing.
Exactly. He at least got a little bit of a moment to shine, and I mean, he's not. Nobody expected him to win.
Yeah, but it's good that he gets that.
He didn't get too much offense, but he's still in there with all of the top guys. So
exactly.
At least, I guess that's something.
And someone had to take that F5.
Somebody had to take it. And, everybody else is in their 40s.
Yeah. That's why they need young blood to take those large F5s.
Exactly.
And that was the pay-per-view. And because I won, of course, I chose to review Survivor Series 1991.
1991.
Undertaker's first title win.
Yeah.
You know, which fits because it's, you know, he's going into the Hall of Fame now. So
absolutely. Befitting of this Hall of Fame induction story, we go all the way back to the very first time that he wins the title. And I mean, it's a historic event, certainly. Probably something that is more historic in mention rather than actual match qualities or anything like that. Spoilers, but we'll get into it.
We're definitely gonna do our reviews.
We're gonna get into it, folks.
Oh boy.
So here we go. Survivor Series 1991, November 27th. From the Joe Louis Arena, 17,500 people in attendance in Detroit, Michigan. About 300,000 pay-per-view buys in total. Down 100,000 approximately from the year before, which had approximately 400,000 buys.
I wonder why.
But a little tidbit, this was the first ever Survivor Series to have a singles match on it for the World Wrestling Federation Championship, which is Undertaker versus Hulk Hogan. So, yeah. So
a
little bit of history. This show, we have to stress, is a historic one.
Before our times. So, maybe if someone in their 90s was reviewing this, they would fucking love it. But
absolutely, so we open it up with a recap video of the snake attack from Jake Roberts onto Randy Savage. I mean, listen, Jake Roberts, one of the best to ever do it, and legitimately probably like one of the scariest people, especially during this time. This is his trust me phase.
And everyone in that segment was fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Everyone was perfect. Macho Man, Elizabeth, every single, even the commentary team.
Exactly.
The crowd. I love when they were like showing the crowd. There's kids crying. It was great.
A baby crying. And it's the funniest thing ever. And it's like, it's weird coming from at this time period because this is like not a PG segment at all.
No.
But this is a very kid-friendly show.
Yeah, because there was still enough colors that you can bring your kid in and he'll be like, whoa.
Right? So to have this show up on your programming is kind of like, what the hell am I watching? Yeah. What did I just bring my baby to scar him for life? But be that as it may, this results in both Jake Roberts and Randy Savage not being able to compete on this show, which apparently they were supposed to do in what was the original main event.
Yeah.
So that's not something that's going to happen. Instead, it's going to be a 3-on-3 in the main event. Oh, boy, howdy. However, stemming from this, Randy Savage has been reinstated after his loss to the Warrior at WrestleMania 7 forced him into retirement. And Jake Roberts versus Randy Savage scheduled for this Tuesday in Texas. And yeah, you're going to be hearing that a lot on this show because is it just me or did they use one of the big fours simply as a filler to get to the big show Tuesday in Texas?
Yeah, I had that in my notes as well. It did kind of feel like this whole pay-per-view was them just promoting whatever was going on Tuesday in Texas.
A pay-per-view on a Tuesday. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that was also...
Right?
That's also kind of crazy.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
Bizarre. I mean, like, people are struggling to get behind a Saturday pay-per-view. I can only imagine what the people felt having to be like Tuesday in Texas, also a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Right after Survivor Series. Ridiculous.
Because this was on the Saturday, right?
I believe so.
So then it's Sunday. Yeah, like 2 days later.
Yeah.
And it's not like now that you have the network and you have a whole bunch of streaming sites.
Yeah.
You actually had to like pay money
for
out of your pocket.
Events. Premium.
Yep.
So Gorilla and Bobby the Brain on the desk. And my question to you, is it the best announced team ever?
Easily.
Easily.
Heel Bobby Heenan. Wow. Gorilla Monsoon just kind of being tired of his shit. It was amazing.
Especially on this show.
Oh, yeah.
Gorilla gets upset with Bobby on a multitude of occasions, all of which are absolute gold. I would completely agree with you with Gorilla and Bobby the Brain Heenan, but I mean, Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler, man.
When they were in their prime, it's hard to compete with them. It's hard to compete with them. I think now, because most of the wrestling fans kind of grew up with, weird Jerry Lawler and the Jim Ross that forgets all the talent's name.
Oh, boy.
So that's not
forgets his company's name.
Yeah. But if you go back and you watch Prime JR, it's another level. But I think
very true.
If there was a top five, them and Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon would be 1 and 2, depending who you ask.
I would say.
Yeah.
Tough decision. Tough call. So, let's get into it. Match number one.
Numero uno.
Yes, it is a traditional Survivor Series matchup. Ric Flair, $1 Million Man with Sensational Sherry, the Mountie with the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, and the Warlord, inexplicably with Harvey Whippleman. I didn't remember this, but whatever.
Yeah.
Versus Captain Roddy Piper, Bret Hart, Virgil. And the British Bulldog. One of these things just doesn't belong here. But here we are.
When the Warlord isn't the most random person in a match, you know.
Oh boy. So as we know, or will fill us all in, Ric Flair came into the World Wrestling Federation on September the 9th and came with the World Heavyweight Championship. The real
world champion.
World Heavyweight Championship. And since then went right into a feud with Roddy Piper, mainly Hulk Hogan as a side piece. So, this match, God, let's get into it. First and foremost, Ric Flair at this point is using the tag title belt. Did you see this?
No, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, so...
What?
Yeah, so obviously they are in the midst of WCW suing the bejesus out of them for using their title. So as a replacement instead, decided to use the tag title belt.
Oh, wow. I legit didn't even notice that. Because I remember when, even when it was we're going to get into it later, but when the Hogan and Taker match started, I was watching it on the network, and they blurred out the title.
Yeah. So at that time, they had the heavyweight title, but this is just recently switched over to the tag belts. And if you look online, there are bits of him holding up the tag title, and it's supposed to be the world heavyweight title.
Wow.
Just don't use a title.
Yeah, you can still pull this whole thing off without having another title.
Virgil has no business in this match. I don't care what anybody says.
Not even a little bit.
Yes, he is the former $1 Million champion. He and Ted DiBiase have been trading this belt back and forth, apparently. But still, I mean, and they tried so hard to get him over all this year.
It's just some characters just don't work. And I feel like, I know a lot of people have the nostalgia factor, so for some reason he's like a popular fucking character, but he just does not work. I don't get it.
Yeah. So Ric Flair begins with a cheap shot to the back of Roddy Piper, so the $1 Million Man can get a quick start. However, $1 Million Man and Sherry getting the pantomime going, getting the shtick. At the beginning, she gets grabbed and dragged into the ring, tries to jump on Piper's back, and then Piper responds as only men do in early 1991 with a little sexual assault. Plants a kiss on her.
Oh, the 90s.
When men were men. Yes.
And the fact that there's so much of that on the network.
Seriously.
There is so much of that.
Seriously. So then quickly after that, Ric Flair gets tagged in, and one thing that I noticed about Ric Flair, and you can chime in and you can talk about it, because he gets in and he does all the hits, right? And I've watched a lot of Ric Flair matches, especially Jim Crockett NWA Ric Flair matches. This is not the same man. He gets in, and after the second hit from Bret Hart, which is a headbutt, he does the first Flair flop of this match. And then 2 minutes after that, he takes a bunch of hits and does another Flair flop again.
Was that the one with Roddy?
This was the one with Roddy. Just starts unloading. Yep. Yeah. And then
that one was hilarious because he went outside of the...
went outside, does a flop. There's a third flop as well. And like, he's just doing the hits.
Yeah.
Ric Flair is not the same man that built the foundations of Jim Crockett Promotions. But
and also when your whole pay-per-view is just to promote whatever was going on Tuesday in Texas, I think even like some of the wrestlers were kind of like, fuck it, let's
phoning
just
get yeah. Just phoning it in. I mean, when Flair and Piper hook it up, though, massive pop.
Oh my god!
Like massive, probably
Roddy
one of
was
the biggest
over
of
as shit in that time.
Hugely over.
Oh,
it's sometimes weird that like I forget about how over he was at the time.
I do as well sometimes.
Yeah, because like he never went after the heavyweight belt ever. Mm-hmm. He was always slotted in kind of that upper mid card area picture, but
because I think that's where most people kind of remember. Like I know for me, that's always where I remember him at. Like he's always like that cool ass like tough guy mid carder that like if you need him for a pay-per-view main event, you can throw him in there with whoever. But then you look back at some of these old school shows and he's over.
Yeah.
He's very, very much over, so it's kind of confusing as to why they never, they never pulled the trigger on him.
Very weird. Just to give him a shot here. Obviously, the Piper Flair, the house shows that they're doing at the moment, plus all of that NWA history is certainly helping. But my God, does it ever work? So, Bulldog and the Warlord. A fun fact that I did in discovering. Doing some research for this show was that the British Bulldog and the Warlord actually fought at every single pay-per-view this year in 1991. They were in the Royal Rumble together, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and here as well.
So the original Shinsuke Baron Corbin.
Absolutely, yes, and then some. So Flair eliminates the Bulldog. It took forever to get the first one underway. I think it was like 12 minutes in of this 25-minute match. But he eliminates the Bulldog, having not been tagged in, I want to point out. Piper gets the figure 4 on Flair shortly thereafter. Then, Virgil gets tagged in, and we're going to see what the big Virg can do. He gets worked over for 15 minutes. Yeah.
Listen, Big Virgil, man. Have you been in his any of his social medias?
Good God, no.
He is a interesting person to say the least. He is a very interesting person.
I've heard about this. I've heard about it. So Virgil's getting worked over forever. Ted DiBiase coming in there, hitting a beautiful power slam at one point, then going over to the Warlord, giving him the tag so that he can work over Virgil some more. Then again, no tag made, but Roddy Piper eliminates the Warlord.
Okay.
How did this happen is anyone's guess. But that's 2 eliminations in this match where neither of the men were legal participants.
Jim Ross would have lost his shit.
Absolutely. I was losing my shit. Just freaking, oh my lord. So, yeah. So it gets down to Roddy Piper and Ric Flair in the ring. It becomes like a Pier 6 brawl. Like everybody's in the ring.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this was a mess of a finish. Flair does the up and over, the top rope, his classic, by Roddy Piper. Everybody's freaking brawling, and all of a sudden the bell rings.
Yep.
I have no idea what's happening. Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan have no idea what's happening. But it gets announced that Ric Flair is the sole survivor after everyone else gets disqualified for fighting.
Yeah, this... And the thing with this is that the whole match up to that point was decent. It wasn't amazing, but I was enjoying it. I was having a good time watching it. Yeah. And then this finish, man, was just...
Exactly.
Just took all the air out of the match.
Yeah. I mean, they were keeping it one hell of a pace. Like, the amount of tags back and forth. Like, everybody was in there for maybe, 60 seconds apiece. Do a couple things, tag out. It was an amazing flow. Mm-hmm. And
when you have Roddy, Rick, Bret Hart in there.
The talent.
Come on.
The talent in there is huge, notwithstanding Virgil and the Warlord. but they weren't slacking.
Yeah,
by any means.
They were keeping up with them.
Yeah, they were
even if
pulling
it
their
is that
weight.
they were just getting beat up or
Exactly.
whatever. But still.
Yeah, this finish, especially as the opener, I understand they want to keep Flair strong, I guess, without having him beat any WWF guys.
And you do get that heat on Flair, but it's also like, is this the type of heat that you want on Flair? Like you could have had an amazing match.
Yeah.
And just put him over.
And it's just a whimper, right? Yeah. Like, it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Match is over in this confusing fashion. How does Ric Flair not get disqualified as well? He was fighting as well. Anyway, yes, so then we pull it over to Mean Gene Okerlund.
Oh, no, but Roddy came in after the match.
Started
hitting Ric Flair and all that. So
the baby faces stood tall.
Come on, they have to. They have to.
Yes, Piper's music.
It's the WWE way.
Exactly. Yes. So then, Mean Gene Okerlund interviewing Randy Savage, dressed like a Ninja Turtles pimp. What was this man wearing?
Oh my God.
Goodness gracious. This purple green feather number. Oh my Lord. A triumph. Absolutely.
No, the fashion at that time was very,
Special.
very... Yeah, there we go. That's the word we can use. Special.
Yes. Savage, obviously, he's hyping his reinstatement. Hyping this Tuesday in Texas. No snakes at ringside.
Reptiles at all.
Reptiles.
Nothing.
None. And then Liz joins him, gets her own entrance.
Yeah, this was weird.
I didn't understand this.
This was very weird.
I'm
not sure what the context was behind this. I'm not sure was she missing from
No.
TV? That's what I was like surprised that he they introduced her with her own theme and everything.
Like, she gets her own moment.
She basically gets her own interview.
Yeah.
Because they just cut away from Macho Man and just start interviewing.
Yeah, for her 30 seconds and, very quiet.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. That's... All right.
Were you in a Coca-Cola commercial? What the fuck?
Seriously. Well, wonderful. I mean, booking. Very excited for that match. Randy Savage, Jake Roberts this Tuesday in Texas should be a great one.
Yep.
Match number 2.
Yes.
Traditional Survivor Series matchup. Colonel Mustafa, Hercules, Skinner, and Berserker taking on Sergeant Slaughter, Jim Duggan, Tito Santana, and Texas Tornado.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yes.
I don't give a fuck about any of the wrestlers in this match. Maybe Tito Santana, but then everyone else, I did not care for at all. At all. I was never a Hacksaw Jim Duggan fan.
I hate Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Sergeant Slaughter, his older stuff was okay. I didn't like him during the 90s at all. So this whole thing was just,
So my controversial take here is that I loved Sergeant Slaughter as the Iraqi sympathizer. I did. I loved it. I thought it was so brilliant. Just it's terrible. It is terrible. But Sergeant Slaughter as a turncoat, completely turning his back on the USA, is it's just so smart to me. It was yeah, perfect. You want to make this guy, you want to make G.I. Joe a heel? Yeah, make him turn his back on his country. Brilliant. The only downside of that is that after Sergeant Slaughter does, I want my country back. All that's left is Colonel Mustafa, a.k.a. the Iron Sheik, who even at this point could barely move. Bobby Heenan getting a little racist in the beginning. Bobby Heenan getting a little saucy.
Not in the 90s.
Yeah. Gets a little saucy with his color commentary with Tito Santana talking about him hitting the flying jalapeno. Talk about him coming from San Juan Salsa.
Oh my god.
Yeah, among other things. Yeah, playing it fast and loose with this commentary here, and you can definitely imagine Gorilla Monsoon just under the desk, just kicking Bobby, just like, stop that. Interesting there. Colonel Mustafa gets tagged in, and after 2 minutes with 0 bumping, gets eliminated by Sergeant Slaughter. Mm-hmm. Did you see how he got eliminated? He got eliminated with the atomic drop and a clothesline.
Listen, old school wrestling, buddy. Come on, that used to be a death sentence in the 80s.
Sweet Jesus.
Knee to the nuts, arm to the throat. That was it.
I mean,
not like these new young guys.
Yeah, you know? Taking suicide dives and 769 planches. Tito Santana quickly eliminates Hercules thereafter. Mm-hmm. Do you have any notes at this point in between?
I do not give a fuck.
All right, so we're gonna go with gonna go right after that. Skinner gone by the Sarge. Then we've got Berserker.
Okay, now I have a note.
Okay, you go for it.
Now I have a note.
You do it.
'Cause I don't know why they would just leave the Berserker 4-on-1. Like, I feel like that's just no one thought he was going to be a sole survivor.
No.
So it was just, like, these American patriots beating the shit out of the Berserker.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like, his team was eliminated, then a quick pinfall.
Yeah.
They beat him up for like a good 5 minutes afterwards. Like they took turns beating his ass.
It's very weird too, because when he bumps, he always bumped like ass first. Like he bumped ass and then back. Like he would lift in the air and come down. It was very strange bumping styles.
It was a very, very weird booking decision.
Yeah, like just bizarre. Jim Duggan ends up with the final taking out the Berserker. It's a clean sweep from the goodies.
Yep.
This probably should have been the opener.
Yeah.
Simply because you just get them nice and hot and, give the good guys a win. But instead it was just...
Because once you... Like, the way they booked the first match, coming off that disqualification bullshit, then to this match, it's like...
Exactly.
They're coming in very lukewarm towards the middle of the show.
And God bless him, Colonel Mustafa just couldn't save it. And not to mention, we did nothing about the Texas Tornado, and Texas Tornado is probably the best worker in that match. I mean, besides Tito, Texas Tornado features nowhere in this match.
And I also love that, in his entrance, they call him Texas Tornado, but on commentary, they're calling him a Von Erich.
Yeah.
But then they'll switch and call him a Texas Tornado again. And then they'll forget. It was a mess.
They can't make up their mind. But yeah, this was a boring match overall.
Yeah.
To the podium.
Yep.
For Mean Gene Okerlund. This time interviewing, Jake the Snake Roberts.
With one of the worst sweaters I have ever seen on a human person.
I thought it was the coziest thing. I want that sweater.
That was the worst sweater I've ever seen in my life.
I want that sweater.
No.
That thing was so cozy.
That looked itchy.
It's so 90s. 90s.
That looked like carpet.
I'm pretty sure my aunt had that sweater. Pretty sure she did. He's going through the trust me phase. And the trust me phase is just so creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just so creepy. And I love this hype. This hype was so much better than the Savage interview.
Yeah.
Mean Gene Okerlund at one point says, "You're a sick man." And Jake the Snake sincerely says, "Thank you very much." And it's the coldest thing. He's so cool.
Yeah, no, we gotta give a lot of respect to Mean Gene, because hit it out the park with that interview.
Yeah,
that was such a great. He really like you watching that interview.
Yeah.
You could actually believe that Mean Gene like thought Jake was like the sickest human being on earth. Like he didn't even want to look at him in the eyes.
Exactly. Like he's so gross
Yeah.
and it's so wonderful. And like today's wrestling, and this is not just WWE, this is AEW, this is everywhere. They need a character like Mean Gene Okerlund.
Yeah.
They need that kind of announcer that can pull even the dullest interview into something that's worthwhile.
Yeah. And also they just need more characters as well.
Totally.
You got to give as well like the presenters something to work with.
Yeah.
Like, and again we're gonna keep going with the review, but like just a quick thing is like not everyone can be, hey, I wrestle really good guy.
Exactly.
One guy has to be like the IRS guy and collect someone's taxes. Like, there has to be some
There's
more...
a place for it in wrestling.
There has to be some more characters. But yeah, Mean Gene fucking knocked it out the park. Jake the Snake, as always, that was amazing. An amazing interview.
Yes.
And it's sad that was like one of the highlights of the show. That had like 5 matches on it.
Yep. For this Tuesday
and
in Texas. Don't forget, call your local pay-per-view company.
Yeah, or you're watching right now. Just call them again
call them up
on Tuesday and get yourself that pay-per-view.
Yeah, I want to drop another $33.50 on this.
Which back then was like $100 fucking.
Yes. Right? So, match number 3,
Yep.
the thing that we're reviewing this thing for,
Yep.
it is The Undertaker challenging for the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship against Hulk Hogan.
And his Hulkamaniacs.
Yes, and the Hulkamaniacs, because the Hulkamaniacs are gonna die. Hulkamania is dead tonight. They have guaranteed it. Guaranteed it.
But,
He retired in 2009.
But I will say, despite, we can't like Hulk Hogan anymore for reasons, but goddamn, every time that theme song hits, oh man, I literally got goosebumps watching him make his entrance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without Hulk Hogan, we probably would not have the WWF as we know it.
Yeah.
And that is I know that that's a very bold thing to say, but you have to look back from the moment that he stepped foot in that company.
It changed
under
everything.
Vince McMahon Jr.'s guidance and promotion. That's the reason that they were successful.
hate him or love him, every promotion he's been in, he's been the biggest fucking draw
He
there.
creates the boom period.
Yeah.
He created the boom period in the 80s when he left the AWA to go to the WWF. And then he eventually created another boom period when he turned heel and joined the NWO.
Yep.
That's 2 of the biggest periods in professional wrestling, especially modern professional wrestling as we know it. And it is on the back, I don't care what anybody says, it is on the back of Hollywood and Hulk Hogan.
Listen, vitamins and prayers, man.
Vitamins and prayers, and then when it was necessary, you can stick it, brother. That's what it's all about.
No, that entrance was cool as fuck.
Yes.
And Taker's entrance was, because this was back when people were legitimately scared of the Undertaker.
Yes.
You saw women turning their heads.
And I mean, that's the first thing that I want to talk about, because we have the setup, we have the video package about Undertaker and how we got here with a a funeral parlor segment, which is so stupid. That didn't stick around long.
This was 91. We were only 2 years taken away from the 80s.
We have Piper. We have Piper's Pit. Why do we have this funeral parlor thing? Jesus.
Oh, man.
But here's the thing. So we watched the first 2 matches. Colorful characters. Over the top. Larger than life. You've got US people. You got people dressed as like skin fucking people. You got the Berserker. You've got Hulk Hogan, Pomp and Circumstance. Yeah, you got the Ninja Pimp. You got... right? You got all these people, colorful characters, and then you have The Undertaker and Paul Bearer. So different. The Undertaker, even more so than Jake Roberts, Undertaker is just dark.
Yeah.
All dark.
Because the difference is Jake was sinister.
Yes.
He was, like Mean Gene said, a sick son of a bitch.
Yes.
Undertaker was just scary.
Exactly.
Like, he didn't say a word. He was just terrifying.
Yeah. And I think that's why The Undertaker immediately was so much, like, more impressive, being the word, or unique and intriguing, because he was plopped in to this colorful world, and he was this one bit of pure darkness.
In the world of, orange and red and blues, here comes this guy in black and purple.
Yeah.
And,
right?
And makeup on his face to make him look like an actual dead person.
The land of the giants, and he was a different type of giant.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what you needed at the time. And so these guys get in there. The crowd is nuclear for this match. They are on fire. And
which I didn't think they were gonna be because of the first two matches. I'm like, they're gonna come in lukewarm, but once Hulkamania comes out, he starts flipping caskets and shit.
Yeah, Jesus. Like you're looking at the bursts of speed that the Undertaker has. Like there's this moment he does the push right as they do the tie-up, pushes him back into the corner, and then the Undertaker just sprints out of nowhere and delivers an elbow, but the Undertaker Hulk Hogan moves out of the way. But you're just looking at this burst of speed, and everything is very deliberate and methodical. The Undertaker, even at this point, is carefully crafting this character to be something very different.
Yeah. Because again, we're coming from 70s and 80s where anyone over 6 feet tall cannot move for some reason.
Nah.
They cannot jump, they cannot run. So when he comes out of the scene and he's still staying in character as like, I'm this dead man thing, but every now and then he'll like just turn it on and fucking surprise the hell out of everyone.
It's genuinely intimidating. Like it's scary. There's a reason why he was so good. Yes, and Paul Bear, I mean, we'd be remiss if we didn't say, Paul Bear completes this package.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Paul Bear is, he was the glue that held this act together.
Yep.
Without him at ringside with that urn, I think there definitely would have been something missing.
Yeah, because without Paul Bear, then he would have just been another kind of gimmick giant kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Paul Bear kind of put this whole thing, even when they brought in Kane and all that, it was always Paul Bear at the center of everything.
And it's odd to me that, I think if you took Paul Bear away, The Undertaker would be goofy.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep. Whereas with Paul Bear there, it's somehow less goofy.
Yeah.
Even though Paul Bear is like the goofiest fucking character ever.
Yeah. Because I think he filled out whatever goofiness was needed so that Undertaker could just be
serious.
Undertaker. Yeah. Because I think you take him out, and then knowing, how the WWE is, they would have wanted Undertaker to do more shit.
Exactly.
So, it would be kind of like a Baron Corbin thing where they give him a name and then they kind of, instead of him just being a happy Corbin, it's like, no, you have to laugh.
Jesus.
Every fucking time you walk out that ring.
Oh, my God. I'm loving moments in this match. Paul Bear, every time the Undertaker puts Hogan down, gets him in the choke by the ropes, walks away, Paul Bear just coming in with these little shitty jokes, and he's like, oh yes, oh yes, just so brilliant, always to the camera.
Oh yeah,
always in perfect position. The only thing is that this match dips in the middle with a long claw hold.
Yeah.
A long claw hold. Very, very 90s, this rest hold. Very 90s.
Because, they had to do the whole, he's choking the life out of him, but then he's going to come back. But then it's like, no, Undertaker overpowers, and it's like, we can't do this forever.
Drop the hand 3 times and the big set. Oh my God!
And then with the power of the Hulkamaniacs, he gets back up. It's his whole thing.
Not everything ages well.
No, but I was watching the the pay-per-view, and when the spot happened, I was like, okay, this is cool. This is what's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. And after like a couple minutes, I'm like, oh, they're still fucking doing this.
Yeah, like they milked it.
God damn.
Yeah, they had to stretch it. This match is only 12 minutes long. It feels like 18
but
at least.
It's just because of that middle part.
Yep. Like it just drags inexplicably.
And like now, for example, like rest holds are used because some crazy shit's gonna happen at the end. But yeah, this match did not need a rest hold.
Not necessary, but there you go. Finally, The Undertaker, as we said, drops the arm, starts to Hulk back up. Mm-hmm. Tries to get some momentum going, but is taken down by the flying clothesline from The Undertaker. Mm-hmm. Right after that comes the Tombstone Pile Driver. Mm-hmm. The finish.
Yep.
Of which Hulk Hogan gets up right away and no sells.
It's Hogan, man. Hogan at the top of his powers at this point.
Oh my goodness!
Nothing is protected against Hogan.
Oh,
he was like Hulk Hogan at that time was like John Cena when John Cena was at his peak. That you could hit this man with a car and he would not. He would just kick out of it like, nope, I'm good. So
when he just stood up. I was stunned. I was stunned because everybody else, I've watched a lot of Hulk Hogan matches. Mm-hmm. It's always drop the finish, get the cover, 1-2 kick out.
Yeah.
This, he just stood the fuck up. Like, how dare you, sir? We're trying to crown this man the new champion.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of things went down to get Undertaker this championship.
Good God, yes, we're about to get into it because good heavens. So first, gets up, no sells. Mm-hmm. Tries to go for the slam, ends up getting the slam. Tries to go for the leg drop, and Paul Bear clips the leg, I think. Yeah. Or maybe he was supposed to, but didn't, because I didn't see it the first time. But Hulk Hogan is distracted as Ric Flair makes his way down to the ring. Hogan sees Flair, goes outside and punches him in the fucking face. Gets back into the ring, continues to kick the Undertaker's ass. Mm-hmm. Goes for another leg drop. Paul Bear then, actually on camera, trips the leg and holds him up. Undertaker gets away, Hulk Hogan gets away. Mm-hmm. The tombstone, only this time Ric Flair has recovered, brings a chair into the ring, and the Undertaker tombstones Hulk Hogan on it.
Yep.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, we have a new world's champion.
And that's the thing. It doesn't matter how great you become. Your first title is always going to be... There's always going to be some BS behind it. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be... Because again, like, looking at it from now, like, knowing the whole history of Undertaker, it's like, yeah, it makes sense that you put the title on him. But, yeah, I guess at that time they weren't that confident in him. Because there was a lot of shit that went down. This was, like, such a fucking... I don't know. They could have just... given him the title, but again, that's us looking at it from 2022.
Exactly. And I will say, yes, there were shenanigans. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was a bit of nonsense, but it's one of Hulk Hogan's few pinfall losses.
Yeah, and he did sort of sell it at the end there, because they took like at least 5 minutes getting this man out of the fucking ring.
Yeah.
Like he really, so I'm like, okay, they kind of balanced everything out a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. So, there you go. But, overall, what did you think of the match itself? This is our feature match.
Oh, no, the match was great. Just that rest hold and the finish was kind of, like, iffy. But overall, it's The Undertaker, Hulk Hogan. They had a decent match up to that point. And if you're a fan of, like, 80s wrestling and stuff, the wrestle wasn't even that bad. Because if you watch some of the older wrestling stuff, there's been a lot of worse fucking holds.
Absolutely.
There's been a lot of worse holds.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think overall it was definitely a fantastic way to solidify your new big bad guy.
Yep.
Your new big giant. And I think Hulk Hogan at least taking a pinfall loss at least losing in semi-clean fashion.
Yeah.
Was the right way to go, even though he was protected just about as well as he could. Still, The Undertaker getting the whole world title, though it would be brief, he at least got it, and he at least was solidified in a way that I think, hindsight being 2020, he didn't do half bad for himself.
Yeah.
So, there we go.
And again, with Undertaker, he's kind of sort of like that Dean Ambrose guy that's like, it's all about the chase. Like, once you give him the title, you kind of just, there's not much you can do with him.
Yeah.
And you'll see that even later on in his career, where it's like, they would give him a title, but then he'll just be feuding with like Rey Mysterio and shit for months.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was always a question of how do you take the title off him?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you keep him strong but take the belt off him eventually?
Yeah. And they tried killing him.
Yeah.
Burning him.
Exactly.
But he's the dead man. He just keeps coming fucking back.
Keeps coming back.
Oh, Lord.
And it is the interview roulette. That's the best way that I can describe it, because there's some inexplicable crap going on here.
Yeah.
We start first with Mean Gene Okerlund, who is outraged by the way that the match ended, so much so that he's trying to grab anybody for an interview, and he grabs Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper gives his thoughts on The Undertaker and Ric Flair, but he does it in the oddest fashion that I've ever heard.
But it was funny because he did call Undertaker a Addams Family reject,
Yeah.
and that did make me chuckle a little.
And he starts talking about, like, ding dong, like, we're coming, we can hear the bell. Like, it's just a nonsense promo. And Piper, I love you, man, but sometimes, like, when he's let off the chain, he is off the chain. Like, you can't control this man.
It's like kind of like every time you see him in an interview, it's like, which way is this going to go?
Yeah.
Because this is either going to go legendary Roddy Piper, or we're just going to go off the fucking rails. Or this is going to go
cocaine Roddy Piper. Did a sniff before he was grabbed by Mean Gene there. And then after that nonsense, we move over to motherfudging Sean Mooney, baby.
Yes, sir.
Mooney!
Sean Mooney.
The Moon! Who is backstage with Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect. Probably the people we should have started this with.
Yeah.
But oh well. He cuts a great promo. He and Perfect.
No, that promo was amazing.
Excellent
amazing
promo. Just taunting the fans, taunting Hulk Hogan. Ric Flair bringing this energy that was a little bit different to the time. Everybody was yelling and screaming, of course. Ric Flair was no exception, but there was just a little bit of a unique standpoint to him.
Yeah.
Hard to kind of explain, but anybody that's listened to a Flair promo knows what I'm talking about.
Like, you can pick any random episode of any show where he does a promo and it's very rare that you see him miss when it comes to promos.
Yeah, exactly. Knocking it out of the park. Talking about how Hogan is, Hulkamania is dead. Hulkamania is gone. One thing that I would have found offensive if I was The Undertaker, Ric Flair goes about how he's now the real world champion. Yeah. As if he didn't just help The Undertaker win the world heavyweight title. So I'd be a bit offended if I was Hogan, but be that as it may. Back over to Mean Gene.
Yeah, there's a couple more of these.
Yeah, hyping the main event, which is Erwin R. Shyster, the natural disasters, earthquake and typhoon, getting the interview with the Mean Gene, talking about their opponents, LOD and the Big Boss Man. They briefly touch on the fact that, they wish that it was a 4-on-3, where Jake Roberts was still in the match because it wasn't his fault that he sicked the snake onto Randy Savage. And Jimmy Hart, quoting, says, Randy Savage is a coward. He got bit by a little snake. You can't fight. Which I found particularly hilarious. talking about IRS says they're going to pay their taxes.
I love IRS. Yes. I love IRS. His whole gimmick is the dumbest shit ever.
Fantastic.
But it works.
Yes.
His whole motivation to fight is so that they can pay their taxes.
Pay your taxes. You will be specially audited this year, is his threat to Jack Tunney. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And then back again to Sean Mooney.
Yep.
The Moonster. Back at it again, this time interviewing from the opposite side of this main event, the LOD and the Big Boss Man.
Big Boss Man.
I mean, not too much to say here.
Yeah.
Very loud.
Very loud.
Very loud. Lots of yelling, lots of screaming.
Yeah.
One bit of note, though, is that Sean Mooney tries to throw it over to Mean Gene Okerlund again while Hawk is in the middle of his catchphrase of what a... And Mooney is like, actually, there's a thing happening. And Hawk, you can see visible anger in his steroided eyes. And he says that, don't you ever, what a rush.
That's your baby face.
Oh my God. So scary. So now Gene Okerlund cutting back.
And by this point, I was exhausted. I did not want to hear people talk anymore.
It was a barrage of it.
Shit.
It was definitely intermission. Go get your snacks. Go get your piss in. Come on back. Gene Okerlund and Jack Tunney rematch is booked for The Undertaker and Hulk Hogan at guess where? This Tuesday in Texas, where Tunney will personally be at ringside to assure a fair bout.
Yeah, that should work out.
Absolutely.
That always works out.
It always does. I've never seen it not. Match number 4.
Yep.
The Beverly Brothers and the Nasty Boys taking on...
With Jimmy Hart, right?
With Jimmy Hart,
yeah.
of course. With the Rockers, Sean and Marty, and the Hall of Famers, the Bushwhackers, Luke and Butch.
I still don't get what their appeal was. I don't. Maybe I wasn't their key demographic, but I did not get them at all.
It doesn't make any sense to me, especially in this kind of match where they're in the Hall of Fame, but the Nasty Boys and the Rockers aren't.
Yeah.
Do you have any notes for this match, good sir?
Just near the end.
Okay.
Yeah, just near the end.
Okay, so here we go. Lots of shtick, lots of panto. The thing about the Bushwhackers is that when they're in, they only got like a couple of moves that they do. The battering ram, the licking of the foreheads, and the Bushwhacker like taunt.
Yeah.
That's all that they've got.
Marching
the walk
shit that they do here.
Right. So the beginning is just a whole lot of that, and the Rockers coming in to pepper in some drop kicks and some action. So if the crowd isn't bored enough, don't you worry, because Luke is eliminated by Brian Knobbs. And then shortly after that, Butch is eliminated by Bo Beverly. Shawn Michaels gets worked over in the middle here because, I mean, who else would? Shawn Michaels, even at this point, you could tell, one of the standout breakout stars. It's just a matter of time. Yeah. I was just watching WrestleMania 5 recently where the Rockers take on the Twin Towers, and it's a damn show stealer of a match. It is fantastic.
No, just Shawn Michaels standing in the same ring as all those guys, you were like, one of these guys does not belong with the rest
wrong.
Yeah.
This is just wrong. Could be doing so much more. And it seemed as if the WWE understood that.
Oh, yeah.
Because Bo Beverly eliminates HBK after Marty Jannetty, in picking up Jerry Sags, accidentally kicks Shawn Michaels in the face in order to get the roll up.
And Shawn just falls right into the arms of a thing, roll up, 1, 2, 3.
Exactly.
Then they have a little heated discussion afterwards.
Yes, heated discussion is the best way that we can put this.
Yeah.
Because it's as if they didn't understand what they were doing. Because it's like Marty is like, what happened? And it's like, Sean, you hit me in the fucking face. Is what happened.
Like
no.
And I thought it was gonna be like a quick 1 minute thing. Like, oh come on, man, why would you? They went at it.
Yeah, like a little bit of a push. Yeah. The audience is like, oh, what's gonna happen now? And then nothing. Yeah. But this does result in a 3-on-1 situation. Marty trying to battle the odds with Jerry Saggs.
Which is the second time we've seen this tonight.
That's right. Yeah.
That was...
Yeah. Brian Knobbs and Bo Beverly are left in the ring here. And Marty succumbs to the cheapness of Saggs after Brian Knobbs comes in and flips over a roll-up for the victory. So the heels go over in this situation. What did you think of this match?
It was a match. It was a match with people in it.
I
like the Shawn Michael Marty Jannetty shit. Just because we know what that's gonna lead up to. So it was kind of cool, revisiting the early cracks in the foundation type of thing.
Yeah.
Overall the match was all right, but for it being the co-main event, it's like, god damn.
Yeah, it does give off a lot of feelings of a house show vibe.
Yeah.
Exactly. This match is a little bit thrown together, and it just it comes off a little bit limp.
If this was on on a Raw or something like that, or even on a Superstars,
WWF Superstars. Yes.
This would have been a very decent match. But the fact that it was on a Big 4 pay-per-view and it was the co-main event kind of stack the odds against it.
I guess the thing is that because the whole appeal of the Survivor Series was that these big stars would be going head to head with each other, which wouldn't normally happen on a Superstars. It was just a bunch of squash matches. So I guess they're only really basing their merits on that, and that they can put together anything because these
people
guys don't fight either way.
Yeah.
So, but it does lead to kind of just this kind of shit, just a bunch of duds. Finally, if you thought that match didn't deserve its co-main event status, boy howdy, the main event, match number 5, Bossman and the LOD versus IRS and the Natural Disasters. So this is a very interesting match in that it was supposed to be a 4-on-4, as we mentioned previously. Jake Roberts and Randy Savage were both ousted from this match. So you got a bait and switch of false advertisement for a match that they had never planned to put on.
Just WWE at its fucking best at this point.
Yeah, and then you didn't find any replacements for your very bloated roster at this point. There were other people available.
Yeah.
No, you're just gonna go with a 6-man tag, in your main event after people have already come to see Hulk Hogan and the Undertaker, so they've already gotten their fill.
Yep.
They've already gotten their pudding. And now you're just giving them a little bit of garnish at the end. It's kind of weird. But there we are. So, the Boss Man. Unfortunately, I don't have many notes about this one.
By this point, I sort of checked out. I was just watching it because we had to do this, but yeah.
Yeah,
it wasn't a terrible match.
Yeah.
It suffered just the way they booked the entire event. By the time we got to this match, it was what's the point of any of this?
Exactly. This show has worn me down. By the time I got here, I've just been worn down because I've gotten my highs off of the Hogan and Undertaker match, and now I'm just sitting there all right, lads.
At the beginning of this, I swear I was a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
But by the end of this, I'm like, what is this shit? What are we doing here?
Yeah. Questioning reality at this moment. Bossman is eliminated by IRS. This happens early on in the contest.
And I think legally, Boss Man paid his taxes. I think that's how you're supposed to. I think that's how it's done.
I think that's what you do.
Yeah.
Typhoon, shortly thereafter, is eliminated by Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. And what happens here is that it was actually a mistimed hit from the IRS, if I imagined correctly. Because I was kind of just looking down and looking back, so I did miss it. And I didn't bother to go back and rewind. I was taking Gorilla's word for it. I was taking Gorilla Monsoon's word for it.
We were already through a lot by that point. Yeah. And I don't think no one was going to rewind that one to make sure.
Yeah. So, Earthquake then, outraged by IRS's miscue, leaves with his partner Typhoon. So, you guessed it, it's a 3-on-1 man advantage.
Another one. And to be honest, because I've never watched this match before. Yeah. So to be honest, I thought that WWE was setting us up this whole time, doing this over and over. But then in the main event, the Soul Survivor they did not.
No.
They did not.
No. IRS tries to put up a valiant fight.
Like the others did.
Yeah. Tries to do his best. He's overwhelmed by the 3-on-1 advantage. Tries to take a powder. Tries to walk off, leave with the loser's purse, but not an ass whooping. However, the big boss man.
Yep.
Who was eliminated by IRS as the first man.
Sir.
He comes back down the aisle and says, "Get your butt back in there,
your
mister."
Candy ass back in that
ring. That's right. So IRS has a choice here. He can either take on the one man and the boss man.
I hate you so
or he can go back and fight the 3-man. And chooses the 3-man option.
Of course.
He takes a diving clothesline from the top rope by Hawk and is pinned by Animal. 1, 2, 3. It's how you leave him, folks. The LOD, Big Boss Man, standing tall. The tag champions, Hawk and Animal, which I didn't know until the end of the fucking match when they held up the belt. I wonder if Ric Flair borrowed that title.
Because when they held up those belts, I was super fucking confused. Because I'm like, was this a tag championship match? This whole fucking time? I'm like, no, but it was a 3-on. That was confusing as hell. Yeah. Because I don't remember them coming in with the title. Did they come in with the titles? I don't think they did.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was a very weird. Very weird. But then, we cut back to Big Dick Sean Mooney.
Yes!
And he has a message from Hulk Hogan.
From the Undertaker, excuse me, yes.
Yeah, and again, hyping up this Tuesday.
In Texas.
Yep.
Yes. It was a good promo. I don't know why that had to end the show, necessarily.
Listen.
But, I mean, The Undertaker cut a pretty fine promo. Kind of messed with The Undertaker's head a little bit. And that's how we went off the air.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, it was it was a show with a couple of hits, but a lot of misses.
Yeah, they had the star power there. It's just the matches weren't executed to the best of their abilities.
Yes. Yeah, I will say, the opening match for what it was very good despite the very lame and confusing finish.
I think if you rearrange the match card, you might have a better show, but I don't know. Right? It was decent.
I don't see. There was just nothing that could go over The Undertaker and Hulk Hogan, and I think that was the problem in the 80s, was that Hogan and Undertaker were middle, stuff. That was the way that they booked Hogan's feuds. It was only a couple of times a year that he actually main evented, which was SummerSlam and WrestleMania. So I think you get into this pattern of, okay, well, they'll be the attraction match an hour in while the crowd's still hot, but then fuck everyone else.
And we're kind of seeing that as well with AEW now, because they have that same issue where they put their main events on first, and then by the time the end of the show comes, everyone's like, we already got what we paid to see, but we don't give a fuck about the rest of this.
Right.
And even like when I go back to watch these matches, I like to sort of put myself into like their perspective from that time, but even then it's hard to see anything good in this. Like, again, you got the Undertaker and Hogan stuff, and the whole build to Flair Hogan. You got the Shawn Michaels stuff going on, but other than that, it was kind of a forgettable pay-per-view, to be honest.
Very much so, and it was very, very clearly...
If anything, I was more excited for what the fuck's gonna happen
this Tuesday in Texas. Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. This was very, very clearly a filler pay-per-view. They had their heart set on making Tuesday in Texas a big show, and, I mean, God bless them, they tried, because Savage and Roberts, huge match, singles, first match back for Randy. That's gigantic. And then you have the rematch for the title. Evidently, that show would be good, but it was, at the box office, terrible. This show got 300,000 buys, as I said. The Tuesday in Texas show did a measly 190.
Yeah, because again,
didn't even barely cracked half.
Yeah, because again, this is back in the days when you had to actually pay for a pay-per-view, and if I bought a pay-per-view on Saturday, how did you expect me to get money to pay for a pay-per-view on? I'm working on Tuesday. I'm not even watching this shit.
Exactly.
So yeah, it was.
How they got a crowd and how they got pay-per-view buy rates, I'll never know. But yes, obviously the aftermath of this was that Hogan would regain the title through, again, screwy means with The Undertaker, ashes in the face of the dead man, Ric Flair shenanigans, Jack Tunney was taken out with a steel chair. It was beautiful.
But Jack Tunney was there to make sure none of this stuff happened.
I know.
Oh my God.
Miscarriage of justice.
Come on.
Yes. But then, of course, the belt would be vacated, held up until Royal Rumble 1992.
And we all know what happened there.
Yes, but we're not going to spoil it because maybe one day we're going to review it. Yeah. So, I have some stuff for us to do. Match of the night, a standout star, and the overall grade. Just John, what do you think? What was your match of the night? Who was your standout star?
Match of the night, Undertaker Hogan, of course. Standout star, this is a bit left field, but I'm gonna go with the commentary team. They were the only thing keeping me entertained this whole time. Heenan, Gorilla, they're in my opinion, the greatest commentary team ever. And they were, between them and Mean Gene and the great Sean Mooney, they kind of held this whatever the fuck this was together. They were the, Heenan doing the whole, he's gonna call Ric Flair after they won the whole thing, and Gorilla trying to keep going with the show while Heenan's making the phone call. Yeah. So I feel like the commentary team and the interviewers kind of held this whole show together. And
I would certainly agree.
On this podcast, we will make sure that everybody gets their flowers, not just the wrestlers, but everyone. So I'm gonna go with the commentary team.
Beautiful.
And then overall, I gave the show a 3 out of 5.
A 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
Very strong. Yep. Middle of the road for sure.
Right in the middle.
Yes. My match in the night, I agree with you, Hogan and Taker. As for my standout star, though, I'm actually going to go with The Undertaker.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think, for his big performance, this is his crowning achievement. I think he held up his end of the bargain. I think he was pretty good in the ring. He showed great talent. He looked scary, looked menacing, looked imposing. He played his character, and he played it damn well.
Yep.
So I would say that. But overall, this show was a 2.5. But after reviewing this show, after actually going and listening and talking through it with you, I've got to drop it down. It's going to a 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's going to a 2 out of 5. The 0.5 was through my laughters of all the shenanigans and all the shtick. But this show, again, like, expectation and reality is very key here. And it's how you leave them, folks. I was left bored.
Yeah.
By that main event, I was deeply underfulfilled.
Yeah, you know, your pay-per-view is off to a bad start when you see someone fast forwarding.
Yeah.
You know, usually that's one of the ways I measure a pay-per-view. Like, if I'm fast forwarding a lot through it, you know, it wasn't the best, you know, like, but yeah, I gave this one a 3 just because the Undertaker and Hogan stuff was solid. You know, there was a lot of big names that, you know, despite the fucked up finishes, did their thing in the ring. And again, that commentary team, the interviews, the Jake Roberts interview and all that. But yeah, this was not my favorite 90s show. No, this is bottom of the barrel.
Yes.
You know, put this one away. Put this one in, you know, we're gonna put it in a little box, top shelf.
Yep.
Leave it there for a little bit.
Ferment
dusty. It.
Get dusty. See what happens. Well, yeah, that was Survivor Series 1991. Shall we tell them what we're going to be doing next week?
Oh, we should.
Yes.
This one's a good one.
So we are staying on the Hogan train. We are staying in the 90s, as a matter of fact, but we are going just at the turn of the decade, 1990. We are kicking it off with the Royal Rumble 1990. We will be looking at the Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior rivalry.
Yep.
And it all
I'm actually very excited for that.
Yes. Have you ever seen that rivalry in chronological order?
I've never, like, in a review type of way, I've never done that. But
Perfect.
I'm very much looking forward to that. And also because we're going to do it in 2 parts, I believe it is. We're going to do part 1 next week and then part 2. And for part 2, we might have a special guest.
We might just have a special guest.
Yeah. We're gonna pull some strings. We're gonna call some people and see who we can get on the old phone line. Yeah.
So Chris Jericho, if you're listening,
you gotta let that one go, buddy. He's not.
Oh my goodness. Okay, thank you everybody for joining us. We look forward to having you with us next week, where we will be reviewing Royal Rumble 1990. For Just John, I am KJ Johnson. This has been the Colossal Tussle Podcast, Episode 2. We did it! And we'll see you next time. We're out!